Now the next type of equation we're going to look at is solving rational equations. I'm not exactly sure why this problem is in there because to me number 22 looks a lot like what we've already solved. We are going to exclude from our solution set any value of our variable c in this case that would give us 0 in the denominator. Then we're going to clear fractions and solve from there. So let's see how that would work. The first thing I always want to do is if the denominator isn't factored, you want to go ahead and do that. Now I have c minus 5 here. That's already factored. That's as good as that gets. The c plus 1 appears right there. That's as good as it gets. However, on the right-hand side, c squared minus 4c minus 5 will unfoil. It will factor as well. It factors into c minus 5 times c plus 1. So I really think I'm going to look at the factored form of that. And if you want to recopy your problem, you can. I don't. Okay? Now, with the factored form, I can remind myself not to include in my solution set any values of c that would give me 0 in the denominator. The first factor, 5 would be a problem, wouldn't it? That would give me 0 in the denominator. So c is not equal to 5. And in the second factor, negative 1 would be a problem. And then again, those problem values are repeated here. So I need to make sure, I'm going to put that in a puffy cloud to remind myself, that c can't be equal to either 5 or negative 1. If that happens, I'm going to toss those out and say, not you. You can't be in our solution set. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to figure out what is the least common denominator. What's going to clear out those fractions for us? Well, we need a whole factor of c minus 5. And that'll take care of that first factor. We need another factor of c plus 1. And we need a c minus 5 over here on the right-hand side as well as a c plus 1. We already have that. So I'm going to multiply all three of my terms in my equation through by c minus 5 times c plus 1. Don't forget this side as well. I'm going to multiply that by c minus 5 times c plus 1. Okay, now comes the fun part where we get to start wiping out common factors. First, the c minus 5s will reduce, leaving us with 4c times c plus 1. I'll distribute that in the next step. Next, the common factors of c plus 1 reduce, leaving us with 1 times the quantity c plus 5. Oh, c minus 5, I'm sorry. C minus 5. Okay? Now, on the right-hand side, both the c minus 5 factors reduce as well as the c plus 1 factors, and so we just have the 3c squared plus 3. Now we've got some cleaning up to do over there on the right-hand side. Actually, that would be the left-hand side of our equation, so let's work on that. Run the 4c through, and we'll have 4c squared plus 4c. Run the negative 1 through, and we'll have minus c plus 5. And we notice we have a quadratic equation. In this quadratic equation, we know in any quadratic equation, we're going to work to get all our terms on one side, 0 on the other. So even before I clean this up, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to subtract 3c squared, 3c squared, not cubed, I don't know how that turns cubed, 3c squared from both sides, lining up my like terms. And let me also go ahead and subtract 3 from both sides. I'll get that organized right here. So now my equation is 1c squared plus 3c. 5 minus 3 is a positive 2, so plus 2 equals, all that goes away and leaves me with 0. Now I've got a quadratic equation. Let me get myself a little bit more room here to solve this. I still want to see my puffy cloud. There we go. Now I think this one factors. I'm thinking of two numbers that multiply to give me 2, but combine together to give me 3. And that's going to be a 2 and a 1. So the left-hand side factors or unfoils into c plus 2 times c plus 1. Bring down the equals 0. Now you have a factor times a factor equals 0. Let me go right over here and finish this up, because then when I set each factor equal to 0, I'll write c plus 2 equals 0 and c plus 1 equals 0. Let me get that out of the way. So we get potential solutions of -2 and -1. But back in my puffy cloud, c can't be equal to -1. This one doesn't check. Gives us 0 in the denominator of a fraction, so that one's not part of our solution set. Our only answer is the -2.